out there. Glad you could join us here for another edition of Gridiron Gal Pro Style, where we gab about all things pro football, from the scoops of the regular season to the scores in the postseason and the picks of the offseason. Let's start gabbing.
The autumn winds move like the thunderous waves of Neptune's sacred palace. And here, amongst the blackened soil, lies the ragged hands, worn, torn, and callous. They await with cunning and vicious prowess, for the warriors have returned. Come on, Dave! Don't do it! No way! You ready But behold.
Welcome back, you guys. Glad you could join us here for another edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style. I am, of course, Mr. CeeLo here. Of course, here back with you on this wonderful holiday week. To start off, hope you are having an awesome holiday season. Want to wish you and all your family Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining us as we prepare to talk about the Thursday night matchup, which is probably going to be a little bit less surprising than the matchup we had last week, wouldn't you say? And honestly, you guys, I think this is going to be a matchup. You got two teams that are really about attempting to push their way into the finale of their season. But as I said, I don't think we'll get as an exciting scoring wallop as we did with the Raiders and the Chargers. Hard to believe it was been a week since that crazy epic showdown took place. But I believe this one could be equally as out there because both of these teams come in at 7-7. And we've got two veteran quarterbacks, but I'm going to say it like this. This is why I believe that this game is going to come. It's going to be a game of which team makes the fewest mistakes and can make the biggest plays. I think ultimately there's going to be, let me just go down two major players that I think are going to affect this game not being here. I would say Michael Thomas, but Michael Thomas has not gotten back to that form that he was at 2020. He's still trying to get that back. He's currently on IR. Will miss this game, but they do get Chris Olave back. There are reports that he will play on Thursday night, and they need this guy. You know, people are saying, well, they've won their last two, but thing is, they've beaten really the Giants and the Panthers. And arguably, the Panthers were in that game up until the fourth quarter. But they will be without Marshawn Lattimore as well as Marcus May. Two big guns in that secondary. And the way that the Rams offense has been operating along with Matt Stafford, this has not been good news. And I'm going to be honest with you. The one thing I'm looking at in this game is the fact that the Rams have gotten back to something that, you traditionally have not seen since Todd Gurley has been a member of the Rams, which is running the football. And honestly, they have found that in Notre Dame running back Kyren Williams. Shout out, ND, baby. Gold and blue through and through. Kyren Williams has been, when he's been healthy, he has been a guy that has been very much counted upon for the Los Angeles Rams. They've really put the offense on his back, considering this guy was not initially the starter at the beginning of the season, but he's been phenomenal. I mean, let's look at his numbers. I mean, because you look at Darrell Henderson as the guy. Ultimately, he's been Darrell Henderson has been really non-existent for this team, and that was when Kyren Williams stepped in, and of course he's got almost 1,000 yards. He's got 953 yards as well as 8 scores on the year. But the thing about it is this guy has been so prolific, not only in the run game for the Rams, but he's also been a huge part as well in the passing game. He's got 30 receptions on 46 targets, 192 yards, and 3 scores. So while you've got Nakua and Cooper Kupp, the usual suspects, but it's Nakua has been the man. I mean, this guy has 50, he's taken over Cooper Kupp's role. You know, one thing I'll say about Matt Stafford, when he likes a receiver, he feeds him, he feeds him, he feeds him. He's got 87 grabs on 135 targets. Gosh, that's a lot of targets. For 1,163 yards, but only 4 touchdowns. The reason why I don't like this matchup for the Saints is because if you guys watch that Panthers-Saints game, the Panthers and Chuba Hubbard were able to carve up that Saints off defense. And I'm going to be honest with you, I like the Rams' offensive line better than I do the Saints' defense, which in turn makes me so much more inclined to take the Rams. Now, what people are going to probably look at is, okay, so you're saying the Rams are going to win this game. Okay, what about Matt Stafford? Are they going to get crazy and have Stafford? Well, Stafford's already thrown for over 450 attempts at an average of 255 yards per game. However, he's thrown 21 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He's been sacked 25 times. But the thing I will have people remember about the Rams, is that Matthew Stafford is not just staring down Nakua or staring down Cooper Kupp. He's got other guys that he is utilizing. He has other weapons that he is utilizing. And to that point, they've finally started to get Tutu Atwell the ball on a lot of other different ways of getting him the football. And as I said, Kyron Williams has been consistently getting the football in every game. Maybe not as much as many people would think, but then you still got Tyler Higbee, who's dealt with some injuries this year. Now, a lot of you guys are going to say, okay, when are we going to talk about the Saints? Well, because I'm not favoring the Saints. I'm just not. I'm not feeling the Saints on this one. And, let's go back and let's look at what the Rams have defensively coming. And I'm going to be honest with you. I love the Rams defense as usual. They're the usual suspects. And Aaron Donald. And honestly, when you sit back and you look at this defense and you say, okay, Aaron Donald's still in the middle. Well, what else do they have? I like Jonah Williams. I think he's going to be a major disruptor in this. Even though they're in a 3-4 system, they do play some 4-3 and some 50. When you look at the base of this defense, it's really tough. It's really tough. I mean, you're looking at this front seven, and honestly, when I look at the Saints, if the Saints cannot run the football, they have a lot of problems. They really do. They have a ton of issues. So what they want to try to avoid is getting in third and long situations. Because, in my opinion, the way the Rams are going to win this game, they're going to run the ball. I'm seeing this as between Kyron Williams and Royce Freeman, and probably Stafford probably throws the ball less than 30 times in this game. But you know how Sean McVay can be. There can be games where he just absolutely overthinks this thing and it turns into trouble. Meanwhile, you look at the Saints and they have a two-headed monster of their own in Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams. And I really believe that this offense is going to be predicated on whether or not they can move those guys up front in that base 3-4 that the Rams run. I truly believe they're not going to be able to. I think they're going to get some good runs, but I don't think they're going to get good enough runs to be able to get Chris Olave open and Rashid Shaheed. But I will say they're going to use Lynn Bowden and Taysom Hill a lot. And it would not surprise me if they need a big play, because we saw Jimmy Graham do it in the Carolina game, make a big grab on a much-needed third down that pretty much set up the ceiling of the game in that one. It would not shock me, because Jimmy Graham is slowly starting to get more and more involved, and I think Derek Carr's got a lot of trust with this guy. But the thing that gets me is I don't think the Saints are going to be able to score a whole lot more than what they're doing. and I don't think relying on a 37-year-old tight end that has seen his greener days, if you will, is going to be something that you can rely on. I do believe that this game is close for the most part, but I think what ultimately happens is that weakness in the secondary is going to get exploited because of their having to peak in the backfield. New Orleans stops the run when they have to put a lot of guys out there, and with the way the Rams operate and Stafford's ability to patiently hold on to the ball. I say patiently, but he has a tendency to hold on to it. But his ability not only to dump that thing off to Kyron Williams and Royce Freeman, but also find Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, as well as Tutu Atwell. You find these guys down the field, this is going to be trouble. I'm just going to be honest with you. And the reality it is when the Saints have played football teams that can get out of their pressures, they haven't had very much success. You know, I mean, we can look at the games that the Saints have won and the games that they've lost. And I'm just going to be honest with you. The reality of it is, when you start talking about what the Saints can do, now that's kind of the same mark that the Miami Dolphins have, is they don't beat good quality teams. And you've only got, out of all of these teams, I would say they've got one quality win on the season. That was against the Colts, a 38-27 win. And I would say that was a game that they won. If I had to put my head on it, I would say it was more along the lines of one of those games that they just gave away. I'm not going to take anything away from the Colts, but they've been so up and down this season. This was on a trend when Gardner Minshew was still getting his feet wet, and to me right now, if we had to replay this game over, even though people will say, well, it was only 6 or 7 weeks ago, that makes a huge difference. That's a huge difference because the Colts are playing some really good football right now, and they're right on the outside. They're on the cusp of the playoffs. But as I said, that is the only game that you can really hang your hat on if you're a Saints fan. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what the Rams have done. Now, you could almost say the same thing about the Rams, except, see, they've got a closer victory against Indianapolis, whereas the Saints is a little bit more convincing. But then, let's look at the opening seed. They gave Seattle their first loss. And, you know, we look here. Of course, that Green Bay loss was very trusting. They've actually swept the Seahawks, and they got a very impressive win against the Browns. But they went into Baltimore and really lost this game themselves. You know, we can look if any of you guys watch this game, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, they were winning this game at halftime and convincingly, and lost this game on a punt return, which in my opinion, you should never lose a game in overtime with a punt return. You just should not. But I look at the Rams and I think to myself, this is a team that is complete. They're doing something that Sean McVay is completely the opposite of. You don't see Sean McVay's teams run the ball a lot. When they were winning the Super Bowl and moving the ball down the field, they weren't necessarily running it. And now you're seeing teams having to guess. They're having to guess, and they don't know what McVay's going to do. This is why I think the Saints are going to struggle, because they showed they struggle against the run. And honestly, the Rams are playing some good ball. Everybody's going to say the Saints are playing good ball too, but the level of competition. Sorry, I can't ignore that. But let's go and break this down. Now, for my pick for the Thursday night game between the Saints and the Rams, it goes as follows. I still think the Rams are going to win this game, but I think they win this game by 10 points or more. I think they get the running game going. I think Derek Carr makes a mistake or two that costs them position, as well as it could possibly be a pick six. I'm not saying that their defense is that good, but I think Derek Carr has a tendency to rush things and force things. We haven't seen that lately, But it's due to rear its ugly head with Aaron Donald on the horizon and that front seven coming, and they come. They come when they come. But like I said, I'm going to take the Rams by 10, and this probably eliminates the Saints from their playoff hopes, unless the Buccaneers fall this week as well. But guys, let me know what you think. Always check out the Facebook page and let us know what you're thinking. And also go to my Instagram and you can see the things that I'm involved in and so on and so forth at Mr. CeeLo. But that's going to wrap us up, you guys. I appreciate all of your love and support. I hope you guys have a happy and hopeful Merry Christmas. And we'll see you back here again for another edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style. But until the next time, same Gab channel, same Gab platform.
But behold, there is a warm breeze that comes from the west. The blazing sounds of victory fuel their everlasting quest. It is a call to arms, for they are here, an army that has the will